Welcome back, everyone. Today I am here with Sean Casey, who is my colleague and best homie, who is a registered dietitian. He is a physical preparation coach, as well as an advocate of all things proactive health. And he's amazing. And he's on today to talk about skincare. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing well, doing well. Hell of an intro as always. I appreciate it. And all those superlatives I'll throw back your way as well. So you crushed it there. But I'm really excited for today, talking about proactive health as it relates to skin health and all things skin, what it means, and how can we get it healthy and vibrant.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on. Your knowledge is just amazing, and you do such great things in your community, live and in person. For everybody listening, Sean does amazing presentations for groups of all kinds, and just is a great education specialist in so many topics. And today we are talking about skincare. Yay!
Yep. And skincare is one of those things. On one hand, it gets talked about, but on the other hand, it really doesn't get talked about a whole lot. I'm sure everyone has watched the commercials. They're like, oh, use this shampoo, use this, soap, and you have radiant skin. But, as we'll get into today, it's more than the soap that you're using, the shampoo that you're using that really contributes to skin. And the reason why I always like skin health when I'm working with clients, be it high level athletes, be it, business executives, be it everyday, individuals, is the fact that skin really impacts mood, it impacts health and wellness. And feel free to agree or disagree with me, but I always feel like if you have radiant skin, your daily confidence is just so much higher.
Absolutely. It's kind of like a snowball effect. So, like the things that you're putting in and on your body affect what your skin looks like. But in turn, when your skin is off, whether it's acne, dry skin, anything, that vibrant glow makes you feel confident and enhances your mood. It avoids things that might compile onto depression or anxiety or stress when you're, worried about the way you look in just appearance. And, there's something that's off. It's what people see, and not to judge a book by its cover, but when you look good, you feel good.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that. I always tell people, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you can usually perform at a higher level with whatever you're doing.
It's
And
so
this,
true. And for those of you listening that like Sean's very humble, he's like, oh yeah, when I work with athletes, like Sean works with like Olympic athletes, by the way, just to like BT dubs, just to let everybody know. He's like kind of a big deal.
exactly. And here's what's interesting, and thanks for the shout out there. I always appreciate that. When it comes to skin health, we mentioned how skin affects mood. Like, hey, when you're confident in your skin, your mood is, generally going to be better. You just have that, extra, like, I got this, like high five. But where it comes into, okay, we know that it affects mood. If you're self-conscious about your skin, let's say if you're going in for a job interview and you're self-conscious, maybe you're breaking out on your face or whatever, that's going to, cause stress. Well, the other thing that causes stress, and this actually ties directly into skin health, is gut health. So I always tell people that your skin is a reflection on your gut. If you have a rash on your skin that's not going away within a few days of putting a cream on it, or keeps on coming back, then it's not a skin issue, it's a gut issue. And gut ties into mental health and wellness.
So much so. And the immune system and everything. And then looking at skin, what you just said about gut health, that just opens up like so many doors of conversation for us to, help people understand things better. And then also skin is like the largest organ in your body. So whether it's things you're deliberately putting on your skin, or whether it's just environmental, just our skin coming in contact with the environment and causing, toxic things to be put into our body, and how we can eliminate these things and how we can do better to make our bodies healthier, perform better, look better, all of those things.
No, that's a really good one. And the other thing I was thinking about, okay, so we have this connection going from skin health to gut health to mental health. And so right now we have almost like a triangle of things working together, right? Skin, stress, gut. Well, here's the other factor that comes into it, is immune health. So if we are sick if we're sick, we're feeling crummy. Well, no one feels like, oh, I feel absolutely vibrant. My mood is on top of the world right now. while you're battling a cold, while you're having, different, especially as we enter the cold and flu season. And so this is the other element, as we're kind of going from a triangle of skin, gut, mental health and wellness. Now we add immune health into it. So now we have like a box of things connected, right? Skin health, mental health, immune health, as well as, the gut health. And most people don't realize this. I think they're getting more word out there, but the skin, or not your skin, but your gut is the largest immune organ in your body. About 70 to 80% of your immune system resides into it. And this is often a reflection people don't realize is if you're having skin issues, it's a reflection as the gut, as we mentioned. And the thing that usually connects them together is your immune system. The inflammation is for lack of better words, the action arm of your immune system. So if you're inflamed, battling viruses, battling all these things your body thinks are toxins, that's going to show up on your skin.
Absolutely. And I think, the term gut health, like people think gut health and they think, or they hear probiotics. And I know that's becoming more of a mainstream word where people, oh, I should be on a probiotic, they've heard it wherever, but like, what does that actually mean? And what does it actually do? A lot of people will say, when I'm in the pharmacy and people will be coming to get their antibiotic, the first thing I say to them is, do you take a probiotic? There's specific ones you should be on with specific strains while you're taking antibiotics to make sure you're replenishing the good bacteria in your body. So when this is all happening, like you were just saying, our immune system, 70 to 80% of our immune system is living in the gut. If we're taking medications like antibiotics and so many other medications that disrupt that gut microbiome, how it can actually affect our immune system and, in turn, just affect our overall health and wellness, just overall.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing. So it's almost like, okay, antibiotic, we always think about it causing A can get rid of bad bacteria. So if somebody has C. diff, by all means, take an antibiotic. Like we're not saying don't take those, but if I'm hearing you correctly, and I think we're talking the same language, is if you're on an antibiotic, it wipes out a lot of your bacteria, both the good guys as well as the bad guys, on there. And kind of a repercussion of wiping out the healthy bacteria is this can actually cause skin-related issues.
Absolutely. And it's, and that's where it comes into play, where it's not just about the gut and you think, oh, well, am I going to the bathroom properly? Is my poop normal? Am I constipated? Do I have diarrhea? Oh, my gut health's fine. I poop every day and it's normal. But it's not just about that. And I think that there's so many different strains that lead to healthy skin, that work on the gut brain axis, mood, depression, anxiety, women's health. So it's just, there's so many different strains that that have specific purposes. So when you hear gut health, it's not just about, well, hey, are we talking about, poop? It's like, no, we're talking about so many things. And when your skin and when your bacteria in your gut is off, like you were saying, earlier, when that bacteria balance is off, that's where it can start to come out in other things. And skin is a big area that, that presents this problem. And is it a thing where, where this bacteria is off, could there be a buildup of other things in your body like mold or parasites, just other toxins from, all of the things that we encounter every day in the environment and, the different products that we're using, on our skin.
No, so it's always a kind of that, well, there's a lot of things happening there. And so usually, I don't know about yourself, but when I'm talking with clients, people working with me, it's like, okay, we now understand that the brain is connected to the gut is connected to our skin, our gut's also connected to our immune health, and that immune health is affecting our skin, our gut, as well as our mental health and wellness. And so when I'm working with individuals, common question I always get is like, okay, this is really fascinating, but how do we actually act on this? What are the steps that we need to take? What are, people look at me as, a guy with the supplements. They know my background. That's something I'm most passionate about. And so one of the common questions that I always get is, what are the top supplements to support skin health and wellness? And before I go into talking about some different dietary supplements that we'll go into, is I just want to emphasize from a food standpoint, food is probably going to have a bigger impact on your skin health than any specific one supplement. I always tell people food can either enhance the quality of your skin with antioxidants, things of that nature, fiber, or two, some foods are going to be triggering inflammation within the body. some people I work with are sensitive to dairy. Some people that I work with are sensitive to, say, gluten or things of that nature. And what I would emphasize is just because dairy's that one individual is sensitive to dairy doesn't mean that everyone's going to be sensitive to dairy. So that's one of the first things I always address with people who are having skin issues is like, hey, let's just remove dairy from your diet and maybe gluten for a 3 to 4 week period. Do you notice any differences with your skin? Yes, no, indifferent. And so I always try to find low-hanging fruits from a dietary standpoint as we're trying to establish this base.
Absolutely. And and just to add to what you're saying, there's a couple different components of it. So, sometimes you think that you are doing good things for your body. Oh, hey, I'm eating this. These are some regular foods in my diet. But a lot of times, people are taking things, and I always laugh. My one friend, who is a nurse practitioner, she did a food sensitivity test on herself to see, hey, is there something that's causing inflammation in my body more so than others? And like carrots came up as a big inflammatory food for her. And who would think carrots? You think you're getting like a phytonutrient, eat the rainbow, great. Carrots, they're so good for so many different things. But for her, they were causing some inflammation. So, there's that factor of just because a food is healthy for one person, it doesn't mean it's across the board healthy. It might be something that triggers an immune response or an inflammatory response in your body. And another thing that I really try to educate people on too is a lot of people will say they have a gluten, sensitivity or allergy, or the same thing with dairy. And a lot of times, if you can remove certain foods and have an elimination diet and really calm down the inflammation in your body by being strict, maybe for, let's just say, 3 months, and then try to add these foods slowly back in, actually people don't have the sensitivities and the quote unquote allergies that they think they might have to gluten or dairy or soy, things like that. It's more that their body is so inflamed, their gut is in such dysbiosis, there's other issues going on, that it's just almost like the icing on the cake when it comes to like the inflammatory process. And by doing an elimination diet and really watching their nutrition, they can kind of improve their health and then kind of create that balance where they're eating a mixture of things to balance it all out.
No, true story, true story. So take home lesson here, test out different foods in your body, seeing how you're responding to them. Some are going to cause more sensitivity to others, and realize that everyone's unique. For instance, if I take dairy, my skin's going to break out in acne. I'm always sensitive to dairy. That being said, my brother does completely fine with dairy. He can drink as much as he wants, does fine with it. So that's one of the unique things. But all right. So transitioning into supplements, that's always a fun one, right?
Yep, that was what I was just going to say. Let's talk about supplements and what are your faves for the
right.
best skin.
So if I have to put a top 5 together and one thing I'll kind of preface by saying is I always like to take supplements that do multiple things within the body that serve different functions. One supplement I would say is, if I had to list number 5, it would be SMM. It stands for a big long word called methyl sulfonylmethane, which no one remembers, but MSM. I originally came across MSM because for athletes. I work with a fair amount of athletes, highly active individuals. It's a great actually joint support supplement. It has anti-inflammation benefits, so things with cartilage, ligaments. With athletes, I've done a lot of stuff like glucosamine, chondroitin. I found that those had no benefits for hundreds of athletes. But MSM always provided relief. And here's where it's a fun one. So that's where I was originally introduced to MSM. That would have been probably 15 years ago. But fascinatingly enough, within the last 10 years, there's been multiple studies coming out showing that MSM in 1 to 3 gram doses can decrease facial wrinkles. It helps with skin firmness, elasticity, hydration levels on it as well. So again, MSM would be my number 5, helps with all those things. There's even one study on skin related, but shows it helps with allergy symptoms. So that's a fun one.
Love it.
All right. If I had moved to number 4, hydrolyzed collagen. Hydrolyzed collagen is something cool. I think within the last 5 years, you see a lot of, supplements with the collagen aspect. Again, kills multiple birds with one stone. For those who are not familiar with collagen, basically it provides the backbone for connective tissue. So your skin is full of connective tissue. Your connective tissue is also found in your ligaments, your tendons, your cartilage there. So again, collagen is that nice thing that does multiple birds with one stone and helps with joint health. It's been shown in multiple studies to support skin health. One of the questions I get asked all the time is how much collagen for skin health, those type of things. I have seen studies showing that as low as 2.5 grams of collagen, if you're using certain bioactive peptides, has been able to improve, skin quality with there. I've seen other studies up closer to 10 grams per day. I always tell people if you're using like a couple grams of collagen, just make sure you're getting a form that's research that has clinical studies supporting it. My general rule of thumb, though, would go between, say, 10 to 15 grams of collagen.
Yes, collagen is a rabbit hole topic. I actually did a podcast on it not too long ago because size matters. It really does. Particle size. Sometimes collagen particle size it doesn't even reach where it needs to go. It's not absorbable because of if it's not, the particle size is not small enough. And again, quality, like you're saying too, just kind of research, it can lead to other things. It can actually, so many companies put so much collagen in their products where it actually can lead to things, like calcifications and different kind of stones in the body because it's actually pumped with like too much collagen. So that's very important when you're looking at a collagen product to make sure that, that it's not too much.
Mm-hmm. So all about balance. So those are there. If I had to throw a third one out there, now this is going to be kind of a broad-based category, but just antioxidants.
Yes.
That's a big one. We talked about how one of the drivers of poor skin quality is inflammation. I always tell people that antioxidants are kind of like the firefighters of your body. They help to manage and control inflammation.
Yes. My favorite, I'm going to throw it out there.
Yep.
L-glutathione.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one. The master switch.
The fountain of youth.
No, so L-glutathione, the liposomal is always a good one. And for those of you who are not familiar with glutathione, it's actually one of the strongest antioxidants within the body. It's pretty potent, so I definitely like that one. And the other thing about antioxidants that most people don't realize, so they think about antioxidants, okay, they help to manage inflammation, they kind of directly put out the fire. What a lot of people don't realize is antioxidants, a lot of them actually don't get absorbed in the form that you're eating them as. Rather, once they get into your intestines, the bacteria in it actually, for lack of better words, chew up the antioxidants, putting them into different forms. So antioxidants can help your gut bacteria thrive. So as we mentioned, gut bacteria are key to gut health. Gut health is key to everything that we're talking about today. So that's why like antioxidants are kind of like a two-pronged sword. They help both A, directly reduce inflammation, and B, they enhance the quality of your microbiome, which enhances gut health. So that's why I list antioxidants as probably my third favorite. So that can be lutein, zeaxanthin, either ones like those have research supporting them on there. And again, antioxidants are found in food sources, your dark leafy greens, your fruits, your vegetables, things like eggs, etc. on there. Is there anything else from antioxidants that you can think of that you find working in practice with clinics that we're missing?
I mean, even to dive like either further down, when I talk about antioxidants, and when I used to teach all of my classes on CBD, and CBD is a highly is a great antioxidant. It's just crazy how like antioxidants, I always like to break it down because people are like, well, antioxidants, but what does that mean? And I always try to explain it to like, bring it down to the level that anybody can understand. And I explain it as like eating an apple. You take a bite of an apple, and what happens? Quickly oxidation, the apple turns brown, and our body is constantly producing new cells, and antioxidants is what keeps those cells doing healthy things, proliferative things that are turning into healthy cells instead of maybe a disease state that you're already predisposed to, or just remaining in the body, not doing the good things. So what we're doing to feed, our cells by giving them antioxidants is really important. And, from the cellular level at the root of disease, basically. So again, so many different functions.
That's fun. I just popped in an interesting thing. So there was a study, is published the end of August, that looked at how bananas. So a lot of people do smoothies. I always recommended to people, hey, do a berry banana smoothie or a chocolate banana smoothie. I used to always talk about throwing bananas in there. Well, bananas turn brown really fast. I'm sure anyone who's had them out before, they turn brown really fast. And so they actually looked at the antioxidant levels in just a berry smoothie versus a berry plus banana. And they actually found there the enzyme that causes the browning of the banana kind of chews through antioxidants. So what they found was that adding a banana to a berry smoothie actually decreased the antioxidant capacity of the berry smoothie.
Really
Yeah, so fascinating.
interesting,
So I'm telling people this is the great thing about science. You learn things new all the time. You learn new
right?
things, then you can enhance whatever. So in all my smoothie protocols, I actually removed bananas in it since bananas appeared. I mean, if somebody's just trying to get the calories, hey, bananas great, whatever. But if they're really trying to maximize the antioxidant levels of whatever smoothie they're having, I actually removed bananas from smoothies after seeing that study. So random tidbit
I
of
always, I love,
ran,
I kind of leave bananas out of the smoothie process, unless it's kind of like, hey, I'm looking for something to like flavor it up a bit. But just because there is also a lot of sugar in bananas too. And I mean, yes, it's a better sugar than, than other alternatives, but at the same time, it still is sugar. And, I kind of leave it out. But now I feel like for multiple reasons, I like to drop the knowledge on people. So I love it.
Yep. So that's the new one to throw in the arsenal. So that what I would say is number 3, antioxidants. The second one, if I say, hey, what's my number 2 supplement for skin health? This is gonna sound really boring, but it's just vitamins, minerals, and your essential, fatty acids. I know those aren't always like the sexiest thing versus, hey, look, this flash pow bang herbal thing found in the Jamaican, forest land or the Amazon rainforest or whatever it is. Like, it's not sexy, like, oh, vitamins and minerals, like they've been around forever. But what we know is every vitamin and mineral either directly or indirectly affects skin health. So ones like vitamin C, people probably think about like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, those probably get the most, hype with it. But even the other vitamin minerals play a role. For instance, if we look at magnesium, we know that magnesium is essential for energy production. If you're deficient in magnesium, that means your healthy living skin cells probably aren't producing nearly as much energy as what they should, which is going to affect there. Alternatively, we also know that magnesium plays a big role in terms of stress management. So again, we mentioned how stress affects gut health, stress affects immune health affects skin. So even indirectly, something like magnesium, if you're deficient there, those systems go down, which is at the end of the day going to decrease skin health and quality. So again, not sexy or attractive, making sure you're getting vitamins and minerals is key.
Agreed. 120%.
There. And then my number 1 supplement for skin health, we've probably been hinting at this on the entire show, but as the drum roll, it's going to be microbiome supporting nutraceuticals, microbiome supplements. And it's interesting when I first started telling people that I actually rank microbiome your supplements higher than vitamins and minerals. They're actually surprised. They're like, why would that be more important than, say, taking a vitamin or a mineral if vitamin and minerals are essential? And the one thing I always like to remind people is you can take all the vitamins and minerals in the world, but if your body is not able to absorb those vitamin and minerals, it's not going to do you much good.
Absolutely.
So that's where I always go with my number 1 is, your microbiome, your gut health supporting supplements. And that can be, a variety of things. We've talked about various bacterial strains. There's one fascinating study that I'm familiar with that looked at, again, acne. Acne is a very real thing, going through puberty. I'm sure every high schooler, I know when I was in high school, I went through acne. It was self-conscious. There's been times in my adult life where I broke out self-conscious with it as well. There was actually a fascinating study that was done where they had 25 volunteers with acne. They had in 4 weeks just doing like a control, placebo. They saw no changes in acne. Then what they did for the following 4 weeks, they gave a blend of probiotics as some of the different bacillus strains like Bacillus indicus, Bacillus subtilis, coagulans, etc. And what they found is within 4 weeks that it can significantly reduce acne lesions, It decreased inflammatory lesions, non-inflammatory lesions, size, across the board. So I always think like, okay, well, if this probiotic is able to change acne within 4 weeks, like that's a pretty cool thing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. And I think, I mean, just one component of like you were saying, like of the gut is using these strains of bacteria that actually help balance things. And again, to reiterate what you said earlier about using something on your skin for a week, and if it's not really working, that it's stemming from the gut. So 4 weeks it seems like a long time when you have acne on your face, but in the grand scheme of things, when you see people, like when I look at it from the pharmacist's point of view and how people take these incredibly unsafe drugs with ridiculous side effects, I won't even dive into that rabbit hole right now, but like so many medications that people are on, or even taking antibiotics to treat acne, which again, it's like counterproductive because here we are destroying the entire gut microbiome. One round of antibiotics can literally mess your gut microbiome up for an entire year. So some of these medications that we're using to treat acne are actually worsening the situation and just compiling it on, maybe seeing effects, more acutely for a short period of time, but essentially it's not going to sustain unless you really get to that root cause of balancing out the gut with, with different bacteria strains, adaptogens, that sort of thing.
No, that's good too. And obviously the big thing with the gut as well is, the bacterial strains. And then one thing I think it gets missed often is just the idea of making sure we're getting enough prebiotic fibers. I always tell people, and this is more of, hey, how do you actually put this in practice with clients? I always tell people that a serving of fruits or vegetables is roughly the size of your fist. I want people as a goal to be trying to hit at least 6 servings a day on there. I find if we get 6 servings a day, especially if it's over 4 different colors, you're getting a variety of antioxidants, which we said is really important for gut health. Plus, you're getting so much fiber. We know that
Yes.
fiber is key for gut health. This is what allows your probiotics to survive, to thrive, and that, et cetera. So those are some easy take-home points. Like I said, try to aim for close to 6 servings a day. Now, if you're just starting now, maybe you eat 0 to 1 servings of fruits or vegetables a day. You don't have to go from 0 to 6 overnight. You can be like, okay, this week my goal is to get 2 servings of fruits or vegetables in. Next week my goal is 3 servings. So like ramp it up at your own pace. That way you're able to adapt to it. Your gut's able to get used to it along the way.
Absolutely. There's actually a protocol that I have through, one of the companies that I work with the nutraceuticals and supplements is an actual probiotic that has prebiotics, phytobiotics that are all feeding the probiotics. Because again, you can say, I'm going to shoot from the hip and take this probiotic that I'm walking into the store and picking one randomly, but are you feeding the probiotics properly? Because that's the crux of it. And, again, like taking all of the supplements in the world, but if you're not absorbing them properly, then, you're just creating really expensive PP.
On there, yeah, it's going out the wrong hole at that point. So that is, no, I think that's a really good overview of, dietary supplements that can affect it, types of dietary supplements to be, looking with your healthcare practitioner. Dr. Cord obviously does a great job with all of her clients, kind of looking at those root causes of things. The other thing is we're, talking about gut health too. So we've addressed the big picture, how all these things are connected. We talked about the food angle, the dietary supplements, how do these play into it? The other thing I always think about is just lifestyle things that can affect skin health. We talked about how stress is greatly impacts your skin health because of how it, impacts everything else, immune health, et cetera. So I even talk when I'm working with clients, patients, who, athletes, whoever it happens to be, or what are other ways that we can do to reduce stress in your lives? I do a pile of breath work with clients. I find that has a huge impact on skin health. Again, not in isolation on its own, it's not going to cure anything overnight, but when you start adding things like breathing exercises or meditation on top of these changes being done from a dietary standpoint, though, that can be really effective.
Well, sure, because when you're talking about breath work, now you're talking about hormone regulation. So now we're looking at, calming down the adrenals and cortisol production. And that's a whole nother cycle of, when you control one of your hormones, you control all of your hormones. They all speak to each other and communicate with each other. So, if you're looking at, if you're looking at creating a balance and decreasing your stress levels, which there's a lot of probiotics that work on that gut brain axis that do that as well, and looking at different adaptogenic herbs that really calm down the adrenals, that in turn is going to communicate with all other hormones and the different symptoms that people might be feeling, like, oh hey, I can't lose that belly fat, I'm feeling super anxious, I have brain fog, I'm not sleeping right at night, and these are the issues that people habitually come to me with, and that aren't getting treated with, with traditional Western medicine. It's just not helping them. They're still not feeling well. And it is lifestyle, where we're looking at things that, that are hormone disruptors. So whether it's using something topical on your skin, let's just say different creams, moisturizers, products that we're putting on our face. Parabens is a big controversial topic, where, like, what is it doing? They're used as, preservatives in our skincare products, but what are we doing to our actual bodies? What they do is they disrupt our hormones, and they create that imbalance, which in turn can lead to other things, and other imbalances. So it's important to kind of recognize those things, even other hormone disruptors, artificial scents on things and colors on things that we, lighting candles is like, it's so like last decade, using things like essential oils to, for scents, whether it's on our bodies or in our homes for, for the aromatherapy, factor of it, but looking at things like candles that actually have chemicals in them that again can disrupt the hormones and create these imbalances in our gut. Not to sound like a Karen. But, just to be like, oh, are you really lighting a candle in your house? But it really does have an impact on our gut health. The more and more that studies are done and things are looking at, like, well, why am I not feeling well? And again, it's not like, oh my gosh, lighting candles, don't ever do it. It's just kind of like one of those things that just compiles on all these different things that are in the environment that can cause different, oxidative stress on our body, whether it's the things we can control, like the products we're using, our laundry detergents, our household cleaners, versus just the air we're breathing that just is, or the water that we're drinking, things that we're just exposing our bodies to, just finding a way to balance them out by either eliminating them or adding the supplements that, that we just talked about to really help enhance our wellness.
No, that's huge. I think that's a really good overview of things that come in place. So I can't think of anything else, but unless I'm missing something. But so the food, nutritional supplements, lifestyle from, what you've shared there with the breath work. And not only there, but like you said, all the other things that you're exposing your skin to that you might not even think about, be it candles, be it laundry detergents, be it all these different things, and recognizing where they may interact with the body. And so what would you say if somebody comes up to you and like, okay, this is really confusing, where do I start? I've heard all this different stuff, all these things can affect it. Where should I start? Putting you on the spot here, Courtney, where would you go with that one?
First thing I say to people, it depends on what level they want to work. Do they really want to dive into their health and wellness? Usually when it's somebody in the pharmacy and they just kind of like allude to this, or they're like, yes, they hear something. The first thing I usually do is start people on a like broad spectrum probiotic and get them on something that's just going to help, even if they do nothing else. Even if it's just, they're not really sure how much time, effort, money they want to dedicate to their health and wellness. People get, but the first thing I say is a good probiotic. It's even just, we could just, shoot from the hip a little bit and say something that's a broad spectrum. If they tell me their symptoms that they're feeling, I can help them with specific strains. And then obviously the nutritional tips, like you were, describing the different fibers that feed the probiotics, the things that are keeping the probiotics sustainable, as well as, what we were kind of mentioning too about testing things to kind of see what's going on and what could potentially be causing different triggers in the body. Food sensitivity is a really big one, like you had mentioned. So that's kind of where I would start with people, and just getting them on supplements. But it's always kind of like I always hope for test, not guess, but you know how it goes. Sometimes people just kind of want the quick answer, the quick fix, and probiotics are always a good start for me.
Love it. Yeah,
Back
that's
at back at you.
back in-
What would you WWSD?
what would Sean do? The quickest things that I always tell people is as it relates to skin health is one, do you notice any other symptoms? So if they're like, oh, I'm also this may sound weird, I always ask them, do you have any issues with going to the bathroom on a daily basis and bowel movements? If they're like, oh yeah, I go to the bathroom once every 3 days, or whatever, and like, yeah, then we have an issue. Or like, oh, I'm always having loose stools or whatever, then I'll probably go like a probiotic route, like you had mentioned. I think that is always a good start. And then the other thing I always do, again, low hanging fruit. I'm like, hey, let's remove dairy and maybe gluten from your diet for 3 or 4 weeks. Do you notice any difference in your bowel movements? Because if they're like, oh yeah, my bowels are now regulated because I pulled these food out, then I'm like, okay, just stay with it. And I guess that'll, impact your skin as well. So I usually go that route. And then, like I said, the probiotics is always a easy, nice place. Hey, I want to grab something now that I can take that'll help my skin health on there.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so those are good ones. The other thing I would do on the fly too is, now for me, a lot of people I work with also have joint pain. So like, hey, let's also take this MSM and collagen, because there's, and I should back up a little bit. Let's say if someone's like, I just want to keep my healthy looking skin. So let's say if there's no rashes, that I should have backed up. If there's not any rashes or any sort of overt skin issues, they just want, like, hey, I just want to increase my skin quality, my firmness, things of that nature. I'd be like, hey, let's start with collagen and some MSM or something.
Yes.
They're already taking a multivitamin, whatever. Hey, I think these are things that are going to help slow down the aging process. That's where I'm really going to start. And then if they're like, okay, I actually have a skin issue, I have rashes, I have whatever, that's when I'm going to start off with, say, a probiotic or some very gut specific things, and worry about the collagen, the MSM, that type of stuff down the road.
Yes, I agree with you 100% on that. Like, I agreed. Like, collagen's a big one. If somebody wants like a quicker kind of answer where they might notice a difference after being on something for a couple of weeks, taking a great collagen every day is kind of where I would start. But there's always the questions, and then it depends on, like, what podcast or webinar was I listening to on my way into the pharmacy that day, because as clinicians, we constantly are learning new things that are just like, oh my gosh, like just about the banana, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just learn these things, and we're listening, and what our education, you just learn so much in this space, and it's every patient is so specific and unique that you could dive down there's so many different questions to ask. So yeah, when there's a rash, like, you want to find out more what's causing
Yeah.
that rash, to kind of do like the elimination. Like, yeah, so there's kind of like okay, which path is it to go down?
Yeah.
But in general, like, yes, if they're just kind of like, oh, where's that glow coming from with your skin? It's like, all right, here's a great collagen, here's some L-glutathione.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some probiotics. And I feel like that's like the winning combo for me.
Absolutely. Love it. Great info as always.
Always, always. So thank you so much for being on today and for all of your knowledge, as always. Always a pleasure.
Nah, absolutely. I always enjoy working with people. So if anyone's listening, wants to connect with me, by all means, I'm active on Facebook. I always try to get back with individuals. And again, Dr. Courtney, you do great stuff. I appreciate all the work you do educating our greater communities.
Thank you so much. Right back at you. So yes, if anybody is liking the podcast, go on, give it a rating, share it, and I will have Sean's contact information in the show notes if you'd like to reach out.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again. Have a fabulous day. Talk to you more later.
All right, you too. Bye, Sean. Thank you.